In business, there's no room for guesswork. Every shipment matters. Every deadline counts. When you're trying to keep operations running smoothly, the last thing you need is uncertainty. That's why reliability is at the core of USPS Ground Advantage. From the moment your package is first scanned in, it moves through a secure nationwide network, aiding in a timely and accurate delivery. You get near real-time tracking so you can keep up with your shipments. And with affordable upfront pricing, there are no hidden fees or surprise surcharges to throw off your cost sheets. It all adds up to predictable deliveries you can depend on. Because knowing your logistics are handled lets you focus on everything else: your customers, your team, and the future you're building. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to start shipping with confidence. USPS, official shipping sponsor of the NHL.
This is Money Moves on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Here at Money Moves, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, Sirius XM, Channel 158. Stormy Buonantony and Jonathan Von Tobel with you. Live as always, downtown Las Vegas, Circa Resort and Casino. Remember, too, if you missed any of the program, you can always download Money Moves wherever you get your podcasts as well. Had a great conversation with Dennis Bernstein of NHL Network Radio on Sirius XM, breaking down some of his early series thoughts for the NHL postseason, as well as tonight's short 6-game card, some big implications there. We'll also go behind the counter coming up this hour. Chuck Esposito of the Red Rock Racing Sportsbook give us a little bit of perspective not only on the NHL but the NBA postseason, the 2 additional play-in games we have coming up tomorrow. Chris Jimenez, former MLB catcher, going to join the program, talk through some big picture MLB items as well as if he has any thoughts on the card coming up tonight as well.
A little bit of breaking news in the betting space, if you will. Former NBA player and assistant coach Damon Jones expected to become the first person to plead guilty to sports gambling charges that were brought forth by the DOJ last fall. For those who remember, we obviously all do, which led to the arrest of more than 30 people per the Associated Press. He actually previously pled not guilty to indictments charging him with profiting from rigged poker games, providing sports bettors with non-public information about injuries to LeBron, Anthony Davis while working for the Lakers. So he is expected to become the first person to plead guilty is the headline there. We'll see what the fallout is from that, but just worth pointing out.
I imagine more and more will come out of that. We had a lengthy conversation when those indictments first came down, and I just remember slowly as we were hearing not only like the different people on the podium discussing everything, but reading the article and some of the documentation coming out of it later, some of the craziness about the poker games, like the x-ray stuff on the table and mirrors and all of these different hidden things that were going on, just wild. It's like a movie.
Yes, it didn't sound very real. So Department of Justice, everything's zipped up and very much well-oiled machines, so I'm sure we'll find out what's going on very quickly.
As more information comes out about that, though, and we hear more of the different people and how they plead, of course, we will update you throughout the course. In terms of the RBC Heritage, we do have that ongoing right now. I had a conversation briefly with Kelly Bidlin yesterday, and we were talking about the form of Xander Schauffele, and I ended up following his lead and betting him in the outright market. So I am hoping that he can continue what is a pretty nice start for the day, at least through 7,
Go
4
get that
under.
plaid jacket.
Still pretty early. Ludwig Oberg, your leader in the clubhouse right now, he is done with his day, shot 8 under out there. As far as the top of the board right now, most of these guys done with the day, but Harris English and Victor Hovland both at 7 under, T2, Michael Brennan, Gary Woodland, Ryan Fox, all 6 under, T4, and then you've got guys like Robert McIntyre, Sungjae Im, Sepp Straka, and Ricky Fowler all kind of in that contention area. Scotty Scheffler just got underway a bit ago, bogeyed hole 1, but then birdied 2 more holes in the front, like first 5. So 1 under for the day so far. Long way to go for him after what was just a masterful final 2 rounds out there at Augusta. And I know when we had Matt Brown on the program yesterday to preview everything going on this weekend, he was fading a couple of guys who had the green jacket in their hands and let it slip. Cam Young, like Sam Burns, some of those type of players. Didn't mention Scotty Scheffler, which I did find interesting.
Yeah. You're into this RBC Heritage.
Did you end up like?
No.
You're so disappointing to me on the golf.
Why?
I just expected more from you after you made this big to-do about betting it every week, and it's.
My take on the RBC Heritage that is unpopular is that the plaid jacket's better than the green jacket, and I'd rather have one of those.
Are you serious, or are you just joking?
Yeah, plaid jacket looks great.
Okay.
How many jackets are doled out on the tour?
Would you prefer a trophy or a jacket?
Jacket.
I think so too.
Because you could wear it.
Yeah, I think so too.
But not like, like failed high school athlete, didn't make it to the pros, wear my high school letterman all the time. But like,
Oh my gosh. Speaking of which, sorry to cut you off. I saw
I wasn't going anywhere.
this video yesterday of some guy playing like pickup basketball at the gym.
Okay.
And homeboy tries to go coast to coast, and he's just the most uncoordinated dribble I've ever seen in my life.
You talk about the guy who's dribbling above his head?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then he goes up.
He's a media member.
Is he?
Yeah,
No way,
I
you're
believe,
lying.
I believe so. I think he's a
No
member of the
way.
media, yeah.
So I just saw this yesterday, and he's dribbling up. He finally gets to the basket where he just like try to lay it in, dude, and he stops and like fakes the layup.
Travels
and
like
then shoots
crazy.
it back.
Yeah.
Yes, so bad. And that instantly, my first reaction was, that's the guy in high school who says, "Oh man, if I didn't hurt my knee, I would have gone pro."
Yeah, the dribble above the head's pretty rough.
Tough look.
I mean, just
Tough look.
at least at nip level,
You know what? How about we discuss a little more high caliber basketball, because we've mentioned
As
a couple
an athlete.
of this as a what did you coach again that was so successful?
Don't get me started about my stint as a defensive coordinator of the Henderson Colts back in 2010, in which we won the championship against the previously undefeated Mean Green. Absolutely fantastic.
Unbelievable.
We have pictures.
Unbelievable.
I don't think have we ever shown the picture? I've shown you the picture, but I don't think we've ever posted.
We should.
I don't think
Maybe when football season kicks off, we'll get that. We'll
Why not
bring that
now?
out of the
Why not now?
woodworks.
19-year-old Jonathan
Well,
Von
send it to
Tobel.
Johnny.
We'll
Send
think
it
about
on down.
We'll
I'm
think
ready.
about
I
it.
showed my bruise the other day. Let's see your picture as the proud DC of the Henderson Colts.
Right.
Let's get into the NBA though a little bit more, because we talked about a couple series and the movement obviously that we saw between the Lakers and Rockets, but a couple series we have seen some of those series prices shift a little bit here, notably Cleveland and Toronto. So as we talked about with Boston being a $9 favorite, that's where Cleveland opened initially against the Raptors, down to minus 550, so still a very prohibitive number. But people were gobbling up the 6-1, now down to 4-1 with Toronto. You agree?
Not really. I think that
You're a big
Cleveland
Cavs
can.
fan.
Yeah, I think Cleveland get this done. I think the flaws with Cleveland can maybe be exposed as you move a little bit further along into the postseason. And there are flaws. They're not a good defensive backcourt, obviously, with James Harden and Donovan Mitchell. And, the numbers would bear that out. They've essentially just been outscoring all of their opponents. They outscore them by 7.1 points every 100 possessions, but their defensive rating is nearly 120 with those two on the floor. So, there's flaws here. I think the problem with Toronto is you almost have Scotty Barnes. I don't want to say wasted because he's a good player. This is not a slight to Scotty Barnes. It's more of a Barnes is a wing defender with some size, and if you don't use him on Evan Mobley, then you're going to put a smaller, less girthier defender on Mobley. So it's going to be RJ Barrett, it's going to be Brandon Ingram. And those are really your only two other options, and that leaves you with some mismatches that are going to not be favorable for you on defense. So Barnes has to kind of stay at home with Mobley for the most part defensively. And the others are fine, but I don't think any of them are really going to shut down Donovan Mitchell, James Harden. And then you just look at the depth overall that Cleveland has. They have a litany of ball handlers that they can trust coming off the bench. They've got a lot of versatility that they can use. They can put a bunch of shooters out around James Harden. They can play a little bit smaller with Mobley at the 5 as opposed to Jared Allen. There's just some unique aspects of this roster that I think Kenny Atkinson is very good at pulling all of the levers properly. Once you get and face a team like, let's say it's a Boston, for example, that has a couple of wings that you have to deal with if you're Cleveland and you lack that true wing defender outside of Dean Wade, then I think you really start to get into the minutia of where this team's going to be in trouble. But in a series like this, I think that their roster is good enough here and strong enough in the right areas in the backcourt that they're going to be able to get it done against Toronto and get it done fairly quickly. One of the series bets that I did add was under 5.5 games at minus 110 for this series. I think that Cleveland should be able to win this thing in 5. I know a lot, and I pushed back on this with Mitch on the podcast earlier this week because he was kind of going down the path of, they blew it against the Pacers and they stunk. And my pushback was like, they were like really injured. And yeah, they blew game 2, I think it was, against Tyrese Halliburton and the Pacers. But outside of that, this team was beat to hell from an injury standpoint last year. And I will always say, and you're my witness because I said this a ton, if your argument is you don't trust James Harden, I think it's a fair argument. I'm not going to argue about that. But I think that comes to fruition maybe a little bit later in a postseason. Yeah. I think they're well equipped to get this thing done and get it done quickly.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit yesterday with Noops Christensen of FTN Network because you guys had like a similar argument there. Like I understand the criticism, but maybe that comes a little bit later on. The Cavs are 17-1 big picture to win it all. And second on the odds board to win the Eastern Conference to only the Boston Celtics, plus 155 for Boston, plus 330 for the Cavs. Another thing that Noops mentioned yesterday was he liked the series spread for the Atlanta Hawks plus 1.5 games. And that's another series we've seen some movement, not nearly as drastic as what we've seen with some of these gigantic favorites coming down. But the Knicks from minus 360 to minus 275 for the general series price, Atlanta from plus 290 to plus 220. Do you agree with some of that early support for the Hawks?
Not really either. I just say, well, so we'll see. I mean, maybe I'm just going to be completely wrong in all of these, but I just, one of the things that the Hawks are going to run into is who's your primary shot creator? Who's going to be your Jalen Brunson type that can, in isolation, work and score and do those things? And who in the world is going to punish a guy like Karl Anthony Towns on defense? And I keep going back to this, but it's such a unique aspect of this, and I think it's a microcosm of what the series could play out to be. When you go back and watch the last time they played, the Knicks decided to put Karl Anthony Towns on Dyson Daniels, and they put OG Anunoby on Onyeka Okongwu. So, in other words, they hid Karl Anthony Towns in a guard that is not going to burn him out in space at all. And then they put Onyeka Okongwu in a matchup in which, if we're going to use him as a screener, well, guess what? We're just going to switch, and OG Anunoby can switch onto your guard, and we're going to feel comfortable in that matchup and vice versa. So, I'm going to be really curious to see how Atlanta combats stuff like that and just who's going to provide them with some offensive creation. CJ McCollum is a fine player, but I don't think that's really going to happen for them. I think he's a little long in the tooth, and he's not the shot creator that some of these guys can be. I think that the Knicks are going to be able to pull this off. I am the tried and true New York hater, as many would tell you, and I am very proud of that fact. But I do think that this is a series that the more I've watched some of the old tape, if you will, and really dug into this, I do think that this is one where they're going to get it done. So Knicks minus 1.5 games was a series bet that I made here.
Yeah, we do a segment for football and college basketball season, West Coast bias, because you're so anti those East Coasters.
LeBron.
New York minus 5.5 for that first game of the series against Atlanta, total 216.
So I'll say this because Gil asked me this. Actually, especially at the beginning of the series, I don't really bet side or total. I like to bet. I know because I like to bet the series because I like to allow the larger sample size of data to play out, as opposed to one game where the variance can happen, cold shooting, whatever. But over the course of a best of 7 and hundreds of possessions, I would expect that what I expect to happen will eventually play out. I will bet game to game once some of the adjustments are made and whatnot. But usually beginning of series, I'll sit back, bet my pre-series bets, and just see how it plays out. So, you can get a little random at times in a single one-off game. But over the course of 5, 6, 7, usually the cream should rise, as they say.
For some of our video audience, I know our audio listeners won't have noticed it. Apologies for just the random laugh and having to move the mic away from the microphone for a moment. This photo of JVT with the trophy for the Henderson Colts is
Champs,
unreal. Unreal. I'll just say that.
So you're listening to this podcast because you want an edge. But what if I told you you're only halfway there? You've got the mindset. Now it's time to get the toolkit to match. Here's the thing. Pro bettors spend thousands on data and tools. But what they don't want you to know is that you can get the same edge for a fraction of the cost with VSiN Pro. VSiN Pro gives you access to expert picks, public betting data, prop projections, powerful tools, analytics, and more. Just tap the link in the description and see why thousands of bettors are already using VSiN Pro to cash more bets.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Fun time of year to be behind the counter, I would imagine, right now with the NHL and postseason. I mean, the NBA postseason is already technically underway. The playoffs still to be determined in all, but very fun time nonetheless. Stormy Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you, and excited to get a little bit more of that perspective with Chuck Esposito, who joins us here on the Progressive Guest Line. Red Rock Race and Sportsbook director. And with that, in addition to all the postseason action, Chuck, we're also officially 1 week out from the NFL draft. And I know people are going to have some fun if they go out to Red Rock, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely, Stormy. We're excited about it. We didn't do our draft party last year, and everybody was asking about it and upset. So we're bringing it back by popular demand. And we've got some T-shirts while supplies last. To give guests when they show up. We're doing the draft cap giveaway again. So when your favorite team's on the clock, you've got a chance to win their cap. And because we didn't do it last year, we decided to give 2 caps away this year when a team's on the clock. So it should be a lot of fun. And it's just kind of a way for us to give something back to the guests. But if you're a draft Nick like me and you like what's going on in football, come on out to Red Rock and have some fun next Thursday at 4 o'clock.
Chuck, speaking of the draft, how are you guys deciding to handle it? What do you have up? And remind everybody of the unique Nevada rules when it comes to the NFL draft props.
Yeah, we're actually putting everything up right now, JVT. We've been working on it for the last couple of days. As we've talked about in the past, unfortunately, the draft isn't always a winning proposition for us, but the guests love it. So we try to be as creative as we can. We're not putting up what the Raiders' first pick will be, of course, but we're just kind of creative with Mr. Irrelevant, a number of positional draft picks, team, what will be their first player taken. So that stuff should be up. But, yeah, some of the player props have to come down 24 hours beforehand, so we'll be doing that. But look for our draft props to be up by either end of day today or early tomorrow, just to kind of have some fun and give the guests something that, they love. So the draft props here at Red Rock and STN Sports should be up again by the latest tomorrow.
In terms of those positional props, I know quarterbacks are always the big talk each and every draft of how many are going to go in the first round. And JVT and I are sticking to our guns here that there's only going to be one and that it will be Fernando Mendoza going number 1 overall. But where do you sit on all of this Ty Simpson talk?
Yeah, I mean, we're at, we looked at it in 1.5 under. And I agree. I mean, he's only 6'1". I know it's a quarterback-driven league, and I could see a team possibly trading back up. Looking at all the mocks, there's a lot of, kind of rumblings that he goes in that maybe 28 to 30, 32 range. So there's always that possibility again with a quarterback-driven league. But it wouldn't surprise me at all if the only quarterback taken in the first round was Mendoza by the Raiders at number 1.
Love to hear it. Absolutely love to hear it. What's some of your, outside of that, do you have a favorite prop that you like to put up? Is there something that sticks out? Is there a unique one that you'll have up?
Yeah, I think over-under wide receivers this year. I think when you look at a lot of the mocks, there seems to be a lot of traction for wide receivers, that there seems to be more and more guys that are popping up into the first round. So we're looking at 5.5 under for the wide receivers, and I think that's getting a lot of traction. And then Mr. Irrelevant, what position that will be as well. I mean, a few years ago, of course, you had Brock Purdy as Mr. Irrelevant at the quarterback position, but just kind of putting some up to have some fun again. Not necessarily a winning prop for us, and I know a lot of guys in the industry aren't always crazy about putting draft props up, but we'll definitely have some up, guys, in the next day or so.
Can I ask, because we hear a lot from bookmakers about that it's, you don't have fun with them, you don't put them up. When you talk about it not being a good day for you guys, is the day generally an outright loss? And correct me if I'm wrong, Chuck, but last year went well, or was it the year before that went relatively well? How have they gone in recent years?
I think it was last year, JVT, that went well. I think we've just become more conservative. We're putting them up a little bit later than we have in the past, but we want to put them up. There's so many people that ask about it. With the Raiders being on the clock right now, we want to put some draft props up, and we're going to move stuff a little bit more aggressively. Unfortunately, there's so much information out there and kind of smoke screens that, our guests are looking at all that stuff too, but we're a little bit more conservative with them, but they'll still be up, and our guests will have an opportunity to play them as well.
Yeah, I think it's cool you guys bite the bullet and do it because, to your point, everybody wants to have the opportunity to bet them. Everybody wants to bet on their team or certain things where they think that they can find an edge, even if it isn't reality. Sportsbook director out there at Red Rock Racing Sportsbook in Summerlin, Chuck Esposito, joining us here on the Progressive Guest Line. How has the NBA play-in handle been to this point? I mean, 3 of the 4 games so far have been awesome.
Yeah, it's been great for us. I mean, unfortunately, I think you look at the NBA and so many games toward the end of the season were blowouts. I mean, it just wasn't as competitive as you would have liked. And I know they're looking at things to change toward the end of the year, but having games that are more competitive is great for us. I think having the Knights, who are on a roll right now, more competitive is great for us in kind of a good and bad way. But hey, I'm happy that the postseason is here for both the NBA and NHL guys.
Results for the first few games, good for you. Games went over the total regularly. We had some tight ones as well, somewhat around the number. How are the results for you?
Yeah, the NBA was actually good. Baseball not as good over the last couple of days, but NBA has been good. So I think when you get some competitive matchups, from a future book perspective, we're not Cavalier fans. We're not Timberwolf fans either, guys. So those are 2 teams that have got some heavy play on our future book as far as the NBA goes.
I know that's to win the title, but in terms of some of these first-round series, are you seeing some teams getting better here early?
Yeah, we are. I think our guests are looking at value there. Raptors are getting a little bit of play. This Nugget Timberwolves series is interesting too, because I think this Nugget team is still really dangerous. Hawks are getting some play as well, and we always get that kind of local bias from Southern California, so we're getting some Laker money too.
All right, Chuck, how would you handle a series like that, like Lakers and Rockets, as you're mentioning, because you obviously have the looming return of Austin Reeves and Luka Doncic. How does that affect your status as an odds maker when you're looking at the series, how you're pricing it, and how you want to respond to certain action as well, with the off chance that maybe some of the money you're getting is ahead of some news that might be coming down?
Yeah, we're going to have to keep a really close eye on it, JVT. I mean, we opened the Rockets 5. Game quickly got bet up to 5.5. When you look at the series price as well, we've seen some action that way too. Actually, there's been some Lakers series price though. We opened the Rockets 750 down to 560 on the Rockets right now. So betting the Lakers a little bit in the series, thinking these guys are coming back. But game one, definitely seeing some Rocket money.
Chuck, last day of the NHL regular season before the postseason gets underway on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Are you seeing people bet at the same typical volume of the regular season on this final week, or does it come down a little bit with seeding? Does it come up a little bit with people thinking that they can bet on mentality type things? Can you give us a little bit of perspective from your standpoint?
It definitely factors in, Stormy. I think you look at the Eastern Conference where everything is kind of set. In the Western Conference, there was some uncertainty, but I really think the fact that the Knights have been on that roll, they weren't really relevant the second half of the season. We saw a decrease in handle on the Knights games, which was very uncharacteristic. But of late, our guests are coming back and backing them. So we've seen a lot of money on the Knights. Of course, like every year, we're Knights fans from the fan perspective, but from the business side of it, we definitely have some liability on the Knights.
That is something I was curious about because I know preseason and early on in the year, you're always going to get Golden Knights action. But after they made the coaching change with John Tortorella and how well they've been playing, and now we know they've won the Pacific Division, it's funny, even more and more people coming up to you and saying, all right, let's throw another future on Vegas.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, our fan base, and I know we've talked about it, guys, if it's the Aces, the Raiders, the Knights, the more relevant they are, the better they're playing, they get that backing. And our fans are, and our guests are spoiled. The Knights have been so good over the last several years that, especially getting hot right now and playing well under Torts, that they're going to back them. So we're probably, again, from the business side of it, not going to be Knights fans. However, the further they go, it really increases overall handle in hockey on a nightly basis.
As the Knights have established themselves out here, Chuck, how have you seen the difference in handle on these series in the first round between the NHL and the NBA? Is the NHL comparable to what you get for these NBA series? Has it passed it?
Some of it, JVT. It just depends on the matchup. But, there's some really competitive matchups, and I think that kind of adds to it a bit. But absolutely, when I think you look at some of the matchups and some of the teams that we're going to see some really, really good handle on the NHL. And again, it all kind of revolves around the Knights. If they're relevant, playing well, and our guests are engaged with that, it kind of translates to a much bigger handle across the board on the NHL.
Great stuff, Chuck. Appreciate your time. Don't work too hard, okay?
All right, guys. Thanks. Appreciate being on.
Chuck Esposito, everybody. And again, go pay him a visit next Thursday ahead of the NFL draft. If you want to have fun, get some free stuff, cheer on your team. No better place to be out there than at the book. Reminder as well, now that it is the NBA and NHL postseason, we know every game means that much more, and every bet does as well. And you can come join us on a daily basis out here at VSiN Pro, where you can get real-time betting splits from DraftKings and Circa, AI-powered prop tools and matchup analysis, 24/7 video, show replays, and so much more at vsin.com/subscribe for more information. You can sign up now for as little as $9.99. You can also save 50% with an annual subscription. No better time to come join us. Check out all the great tools that we have, again, over at vsin.com. We're going to step aside when we come back, diving back into a little Major League Baseball action. Excited to have Chris Jimenez on the program, former MLB pitcher, host over there on SiriusXM MLB Radio. Thoughts on the games tonight and big picture topics to dive into.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
You've got the group chat, you've got a opinions. Now's the time to put your money where your mouth is with Cut, the social betting platform that lets you bet directly against your friends and other users on sports, politics, pop culture, even personal bets, whatever you want. And every bet is fully customizable and pre-funded, so nobody can flake out on you if they lose. Plus, you get cash back on every single bet you make. Use our promo code VSIN now to get 20% in a deposit bonus on that first deposit. Download Cut today, KUTT.com, or in the App Store. Again, check out that promo code VSIN for the deposit bonus. We got 6 games in action in Major League Baseball as we speak. 3 games still to come later on this evening. A handful of one-run games, by the way. Washington and Pittsburgh in the 9th right now, 7-6, Nats with the lead. Angels up 4-3 on the Yankees in what's been a back-and-forth affair. Milwaukee up 2-1 over Toronto. We're tied at 1 with the Rays and White Sox. 2-1 Detroit over the Royals. Lots of chaos potentially on this early day slate. As we welcome in Chris Jimenez to the Progressive Guest Line, former MLB catcher, hosts of Loud Outs on SiriusXM MLB Radio. You can follow him on X as well, at Chris Jimenez 5. Anything that you're sweating out here early on this morning portion of the slate? What's going on?
What's going on, guys? It's good to be here. Thank you first and foremost. I appreciate it. And how about those Angels? Mike Trout looks like he potentially could be the Mike Trout of old. This is great to see.
Yeah, Chris, I'm glad you started there because there's a bunch of different places I wanted to go with you. But if we're going to start there, one of the things that has come to light here about Trout in this surge that he is on right now, and I'll pick your brain as a hitter, is that little back step that he's added to his swing. Yeah. Do you think that's part of the reason why he is coming off in such a hot start, especially out here in the Bronx? How much do you think that's helped him?
Well, I certainly think it helps him, right? It helps him stay grounded into the ground because when you see him actually swing the bat, his right foot or his back leg really, he gets a ton of force into his front side. So it kind of really presets that back hip, which allows him to be very, very flat through the zone, which is not something he's ever really had an issue with. The one thing I will say, though, is he's healthy. And I think he's healthy, and I also think he's got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder this year. Not that he hasn't in the past, but I think he's starting to understand that, hey, I need to do some different things from a training perspective to keep myself on the field. I'm not in a position from an age standpoint that I once was, and I'm just having to change my routine up. And whether that's red light therapy or different types of massages, it seems to be working, and he is absolutely on fire right now, at least from the power standpoint.
And the other aspect of this team, and by the way, full disclosure, Chris, I'm a big Angels fan, so we can get hardcore Angels for the next 30 minutes if we'd like. But I do think the unsung hero, and you have unique perspective on just the inner workings of how these coaching staff work and what their jobs are. Mike Maddux has seemingly done a tremendous job with these pitchers so far. Soriano is off to a tremendous start. Reed Detmers has been pitching pretty well. You even see it in Kahanowitz too. Maddux has to get a ton of credit for what they've done. The turnaround for this pitching staff at the top has been tremendous.
That's a great call. And Mad Dog is one of the best in the business. He was my pitching coach for a few different years when I was with the Texas Rangers. He just has a way about him that he's unbelievable at communicating. He gets guys to buy in. He's there to show you the metric side of things. But I think to me, what makes him one of the best in the business is his willingness to not shy away from fastballs. With Soriano in particular, he's completely not taken away, but he's limited the amount of two-seamers, which is crazy because the movement on this guy's two-seamer is through the roof good. But he's throwing more four-seamers, which is getting guys off the breaking ball. It's allowing his sinker to play a little bit better. He did the same thing with Kahanowitz, who we know can throw 100+ miles an hour. It's just where and how you're utilizing these fastballs are the key. That's the one thing that he did a ton of with us in Texas and just never wanted guys to shy away from the breaking balls. And in a game where spin now is so prevalent, it's nice to kind of see guys that have not gone away from the fastball mentality and proving to, I think a lot of teams and these 3 players in particular that you execute a good fastball, it's still the best pitch in baseball.
JVT's been trying to make the case for Soriano in that AL Cy Young market a number of times here. Speaking of Cy Young, though, I did want to ask you, and I know it might be a silly conversation topic with Shohei Ohtani because he's a massive number already for NL MVP. From a Cy Young standpoint, will he have the volume because he pitches every 6 days as opposed to every 5? But as of right now, 3rd best ERA in the sport to start the year, 3rd best WHIP, 2nd in opponent batting average. He's 15-1, 5th on the board. And considering nobody wants to necessarily lay minus 235 on a player for MVP, especially barring injury or anything like that, could Cy Young be a worthwhile look for Ohtani, or is that just a stay away because of the volume?
Honestly, I would say that that's a stay away for multiple reasons, really. The volume probably, yes, is a big part of that. But guess what? Who else is in the National League? The reigning Cy Young Award winner, and that's Paul Skeens. And I don't think he's really going anywhere. And he's certainly, aside from opening day, take that one out of it, he really looks the part. And he looks like he's ready to take that award home for the next, I don't know, call it 8+ years probably. Ohtani's an interesting case. To me, I feel like he's probably better served in the MVP market. And I get the injury side of things, but to me, it's an absolute lock. If he just shows that he can throw 130 to, heaven forbid, 150+ innings and do what he does offensively, he doesn't have to do anything crazy. We just still give so much credit to that as voters that, and rightfully so, right? Like, we just have never seen anybody do anything like this. And I don't want to hear any of that Babe Ruth talk, because it was a little bit different back then as opposed to now. I'm not taking anything away from Babe Ruth by any means, but it's just you're not facing the same type of pitching, the same volume of pitching. Plus, those guys face the same pitchers like every day. So, I'd probably get a hit too off of guys like that. Maybe not 600+ homers, but I'd feel a little bit better than I think I was. So, I think MVP for Ohtani is probably a better bet, even though I'm sure the lines don't necessarily say that. I just think Cy Young's too. I hate saying this, but I don't know if he has it in him. And I know that's crazy because he's a unicorn, but I don't know if he really has that in him.
We found out in our time with Chris as a regular that he's a very nice guy. I'll go there. Babe Ruth faced a bunch of chain-smoking fat dudes that really are not anywhere near where these guys are at right now.
Exactly right.
But we're burying the lead with you, Chris. We should have really started here. Ohtani might not have it in him. Parker Messick looks like he's got it in him. This dude has been off to a tremendous start. He's starting today. For our audience that hasn't seen him, what are they going to look at here? And we're talking about awards. AL Rookie of the Year seems to be very much in his purview if he can keep this up. What has been behind this start?
Yeah, I mean, we saw this last year, too, when he came up here in Cleveland. He is probably one of my favorite pitchers to just watch pitch. Not only does he work extremely fast from a tempo standpoint, he's constantly keeping hitters on their heels and on their toes because he is not afraid of anybody in that batter's box. It's great when you get a chance to talk to him. He does not look at the names on the back of the jersey. He just went through and absolutely mowed down arguably what's one of the greatest lineups Major League Baseball has ever put together in the Los Angeles Dodgers, and he absolutely brought the fight to that entire offense. He did not care that Ohtani was in the batter's box and that Ohtani can handle fastballs. He was like, here's my fastball, come and get it. And I think that's my favorite part, being a former catcher. You love to see guys that are not afraid to challenge hitters and that aren't necessarily afraid of the name on the back, because that absolutely happens. You start pitching away from your strengths and trying to go to hot and cold zones of the hitters, which may not necessarily be a strength of yours. That's not Parker's case at all. He goes to his strength, does not care, if he gets, gives up a few hits here and there. He knows he's still got the moxie and the ability to get out of an inning at any point in time. But he just likes to work fast, man, and it's coming right at you. Here it is. This is what I got, and good luck.
With Messick on the hill, the Guardians minus 126 money line favorites today. Run total sitting 8. You mentioned, one of your favorite pitchers. Who's your favorite catcher right now?
Ooh, I got a couple of them, actually. This may surprise some people. I think he's the best catcher in baseball, and I don't really think it's close, but that's Dylan Dingler. He's unbelievable behind the plate, like absolutely unbelievable for being such a big dude, 6'3", 230, 40+ pounds, whatever he actually is. His receiving abilities, and honestly, he's got one of the best catching coaches in baseball, and Ryan Cienko helping him out. But his ability to not only call a game, to see a game as it plays out. Like, it's one thing to have a great plan going into a baseball game, but if your eyes are telling you something completely different, his ability to pivot and then the pitching staff's trust in him to know that, hey, this wasn't the plan going in, but I obviously see something if we're pivoting like this. He's got that pitching staff on lockdown. And by the way, he's a pretty darn good offensive player as well.
Chris, you're awesome. Thank you so much for this. We appreciate your time.
You're very welcome, guys. Can't wait to do it next week.
Yes, exactly. Christian Menez, appreciate him always giving time for us here on the show. Former MLB catcher. Again, check out Loud Outs as well on SiriusXM MLB Network Radio.
When do we have Jensen on again? I have to ask him a question, because there was a brawl in the Cincinnati game today. I think one of the funnier things in baseball that happens all the time is when a fight starts and then you see all of the pitchers run from the bullpen on the other side of the field and jog the entire length of the baseball field and finally get to a fight, which has ultimately just died down and done nothing. Watch it again here today. I don't understand. I get it's team camaraderie, but guys, you're not going to make it.
Got to back up your guy, or at least have the illusion of backing up your guy. How about your Angels, by the way, up 6-3?
6-4, thanks.
6-4 now. Okay, yeah. Sorry, bad timing on that one by me. Solo shot for the Yanks on that one. We got to step aside here. Wrapping things up with our best bets on Money Moves after this.
And Rice exists.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Man, I am excited for our television VSiN Watch app audience because you are about to get an absolute treat here. And for those of you that are listening on the radio, or maybe in the future you're listening to us on the Money Moves podcast feed, you got to go back and pull up the VSiN Watch app and pull up this photo because we have the picture now of our boy, JVT, defensive coordinator of the Henderson Colts.
Correct.
With the trophy. This haircut was a choice. Let me just start with that.
Yeah, I don't remember what I like the football. Thank you. I don't remember what how I would cut my hair back then. In this picture, by the way,
with a bowl, probably.
Yeah, I am 19 years old in this picture. But yes, that is our trophy that we won after we took down the green machine. Yeah, the green machine, previously undefeated before they ran into me. We ran a 3.35, absolutely tremendous. That's at a Chuck E. Cheese, as you can tell. We are celebrating. Not a kid in sight. They're there, though, I promise you. I didn't just buy a trophy to take a picture. And, that was like literally, I think if I remember correctly, that was like the day, maybe it was the day after. I think it was the day after we had celebrated because we had won. So, yeah, quite the victory and a very good memory.
With the date in the corner, was this a disposable? Was this a digital camera?
I assume it's a digital camera. Yeah, I don't remember the origins of this photo in terms of where I've got it or why I have it in a digital fashion. I do not remember.
There's not a lot behind those eyes.
There's a lot behind those eyes. There's a lot of happiness there. So yes, that is to the right of the screen is my brother-in-law. The way I'm actually pointing, and then the guy over my shoulder on the other side. If I remember correctly, his name was Steve. He was the former head coach. So the reason why we got this.
You don't even remember his name?
No, because it was a long time ago.
You remember every detail of the game, but not the head coach's name.
It probably was Steve. Well, because here's the thing. The reason why we got this is they had put an ad up in Craigslist because they were so bad. The Henderson Colts were a defunct organization. They were actually going to fall apart and dissolve.
Very similar to the Indianapolis
That's right. And so they were actually not going to have a season, but they put an ad up in Craigslist. And my brother-in-law called me. He's like, hey, do you want to try this out? And I was like, sure. And that's an old buddy of mine, Eddie, in the picture as well with the red hat on. And we were just like, yeah, let's give this a shot. And sure enough, we took a team that had not won a game except for one by default because the other team didn't show up over the last 2 seasons, won a championship right away. Let's go, buddy.
Tremendous. So that is why earlier in the program, when I just randomly had to look away laughing and move myself from the microphone because I could not.
It's tremendous photo.
I just couldn't. It is a picture. So let's.
I'm not ashamed of who I am.
Let's get into the best bets portion of the program. Time to recap yesterday before we look ahead to today. Why don't you get started?
Sure, if I have to. I should probably have this pulled up and ready to go. Magic +2, don't get there. Thanks a lot, boys. We'll see if they show up on Friday. I'm sure they will let me down once more and beat the Charlotte Hornets. We need this 12-1 to get there. That'll be a play, by the way. We'll take a little bit of the Magic on the money line just because we have this ticket. I think you have it too, right?
Yep.
And it's an easy one.
I'm not hedging.
This is the easy one to do it, though. We have 12-1. They're favored to win. You don't
need to hedge if you're going to win.
You don't have to eat anything as part of the real payout. You put one unit on and you're getting your money back plus a little bit more. So either way, Magic +2 do not get there. Would you like me to go to my actual bet next?
Yes.
Okay. The addition here, so we have 3 series bets so far that we have added. The Knicks -1.5 was a couple of days ago, as was Nuggets, Timberwolves over. We're going to add one more series total, over 5.5 games. And I actually put over 5.5 games here. I meant under 5.5 games. That's a typo on my end. Raptors Cavs under 5.5 games at -110. This will be a short series, I believe. And the Raptors will get clapped and sent back home. How about that?
Okay, I'm here for it. Let's go. I will root you on. I haven't added it yet, but I am contemplating the +2.5 games on the Lakers for that series with the Rockets.
Okay.
I feel like that. I mean, they can win. They can do a little bit.
I don't know why
right?
you do this.
I just think, well, like I said to you earlier off of the air, you get so mad when I ask you questions or for a little confirmation or anything like that. And I'm like, sorry that I'm asking our senior NBA analyst an NBA question to see if maybe I should put my shekels on something or not.
You do it in hockey, too. You do it every day.
I don't recall. Speaking
Like,
of
should I
hockey.
bet Nikita Kucherov here? I'm like, I don't even know. I don't even know who he plays for.
Of hockey, hit or miss for us yesterday. The miss, that parlay we talked about was not a pretty sight. But
Did you go over?
no, we got one of them.
Oh, okay.
But I would I love our audience because so supportive, even in turmoil. The number of tweets and everything I got that it's like, hey, if we're going down, at least we're going down like the Hindenburg, just put it all up in flames. The performance we saw from the Detroit Red Wings yesterday, abysmal, mortifying, sickening. I don't know what kind of hockey that was, but it did not feel anything close to NHL caliber as they lose 8-1 to the Florida Panthers. Apparently none of those teams cared about where they are in the draft lottery after all. That said, Vegas on the puck line does come through for us against Seattle, despite actually starting this game down 1-0 too. I was like, what is my day going to be ultimately? But they end up winning this one 4-1. Mitch Marner with the eventual game winner. Riley Smith has a pair. Good day in all. Multi-assist night for Jack Eichel, and we'll see if they can push it forward into the postseason as they clinch the Pacific Division last night. We'll go on to face the Utah Mammoth in the first round. As for tonight, I think I wrote -110 on this graphic, so I apologize for you guys, but it is +110 tonight.
We're all over the
for
place.
the Nashville Predators. The symbols, they're right next to each other. What do you want from me? Apologies. They are the Nashville Predators against the Anaheim
talking
Ducks
like you're a
today.
1940s film star.
The Preds are, well, we were talking about Casablanca yesterday, so maybe it's just in my brain.
Yeah.
This is just a shot in the dark a little bit here, but the Ducks just feel like they're in total implosion mode right now. Last 2 losses to the worst team in the NHL in Vancouver and to a Minnesota roster that had 10 of their regulars out of the lineup with all of the AHL players that they brought up. Would they like to get this win and avoid Colorado in the first round? Absolutely. I just don't know if they have it in them at this point. Nashville, yes, their season is over. Probably a little bit ticked off about that, though. I don't think it's necessarily just 1-2-3 Cancun. Maybe they're just playing free and a team that they can beat. So I don't know. It was just a little fun plus money action. Why not? And then speaking of plus money, we're going back to the parlay well with a 2-legger in the Pacific that we need Edmonton and the Los Angeles Kings to get it done tonight. Oilers need a point to finish second in the division. They win the game, get home ice. Kings, despite Edmonton being their first-round kryptonite for 4 straight years, would prefer Edmonton than Colorado as well.
So home ice is a difference. Is the difference? It's not just like a seeding thing.
It's both, yeah.
No, but I'm saying
if you're in the 2, you
correct.
get home
That's what I'm saying. If they lose this, they won't have home ice.
Correct.
Yeah, okay. So there is actual motivation. Yes.
Yes.
All right. Just wanted clarity.
So both teams on the money line, +122. Let's get there. I swear to you, though, this is how I think tonight shakes out in the Pacific, in that we get round 5 of the Kings and Oilers. And I feel awful for the Kings in that because they have lost 4 straight series. Last year, I was adamant about that finally being the year for the Kings.
You were so wrong.
Thank you for that. They finally
Same thing with
had
the Stanley Cup final.
home ice in the series. Edmonton was a team I genuinely was looking to fade in the first round, and they ended up going all the way to the Cup final. And then you won that bet on me too. So just leave me alone. Why do I even try?
Well, you flipped. You finally. That's always a dangerous game.
That is
when you
true.
flip. You didn't believe in them the whole time, and then you get there, and you're like, no,
Yeah.
I think they could pull it off.
That's so true. I was anti-Edmonton all the way. And then I just thought they had that kind of team of destiny in them for Connor McDavid, and it did not play out that way.
I'm paying attention. It's just Mike Trout's up to bat, and he's been great again today. Didn't get a hit in his first at bat. He's walked twice. He scored a run. So see if he can go deep here again. My man is in the zone.
I know we did a preview of the 3 games that are still to come in Major League Baseball, but was there anything you actually contemplated action on? We talked with Chris Jimenez about the Guardians and Orioles, but also Rockies, Astros, and Mariners, Padres still to come.
Not to curry favor with Chris as he's not with us and not listening. Did Mike Trout just go yard again? I think he actually just went deep again.
Go.
Let's do this. My man is absolutely creaming the baseball here.
I mean, the Angels, you guys are second in Major League Baseball in home runs.
Oh,
I know
look,
he's been a huge part of that, but
they
7th already.
They are absolutely relying on the power. I don't know how much this is really going to stick in the big picture, but Mike Trout is absolutely murdering the baseball right now. And again, with another home run, I believe this might be his 5th of the series. I have to double check on that one, but he has been going absolutely insane in this set against the Bronx. I swear.
Well,
I shouldn't say this.
He had 2 on
I swear
Tuesday.
to God.
Sorry.
If the Angels blow this game again today, they blew the first game of the series, they blew it yesterday, and now here they are up 7-4, top of the 7th. I don't know what, I swear to God, but I do. I will do something, okay? Just please win this bleeping game. And it goes back to what we talked about with this series. How the pricing on the Yankees in this series has been insane. I mean, today they're like a $2.85, $3 favorite, and here they are down 7-4 in the top of the 7th inning.
He had 4 home runs coming into today in this series.
He had 4 home runs in the series. So I'm right. This is his 5th.
Yes.
Okay, so I was correct. Okay.
Yeah. So 5 in 4 games.
Just a massive
Not
dong
too
for Mike
shab.
Trout.
Not too shab at all. Okay, that's going to do it for us today. But
I'm going to watch Casablanca later.
You should. Play it again, Sam.
It's only an hour and 40 minutes. I guess I could put myself through it at some point over the weekend. Is there a more 1940s name than Humphrey Bogart?
That is a no. I mean, the
Up
answer
next
is no.
in a 1940s voice. Go ahead.
All right. I don't know if I can do
you
it under
failed
pressure.
Immediately stumbled
Stay
out of the
tuned to
gate.
VSiN after Money Moves for Follow the Money. Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on today's show. Veteran NFL writer Dan Lieberfeld will have his best bets for the NFL draft and beyond. Enjoy, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Good? Come
A little Beth
on.
Moen, I think.
Oh, no.